The city of Rhodes is home to the Vanderlinde gang in Chapter 3, a hot town in the state of Lemoyne, home to two ruthless families living in an endless feud. This chapter is marked by several betrayals and plot twists, but what if I tell you that it wasn't just the Braithwaites and Greys who betrayed the gang and deceived Arthur Morgan in Red Dead 2? You may not have noticed, but throughout the game, our beloved protagonist was deceived by someone else besides Dutch, Micah, and the families. He was manipulated by someone much darker and more treacherous than these figures. Get ready to uncover what is hidden in the shadows, a revelation that will completely change your view of one of the most striking characters in the game. Don't blink, as the truth behind Jeremiah Compson will leave you speechless. What is Jeremiah hiding, and why would Arthur never have done what he did if he knew the terrible truth? Stick with me until the end, because just like Arthur, you have been deceived by Jeremiah Compson in Red Dead 2. So without further ado, let's go to the video. During one of my gaming sessions, I was visiting the quiet town of Rhodes looking for the butcher to sell some carcasses. Upon reaching the trader, I was taken aback by the grumbling of a discontented man lying on a bench in front of the station. He clearly seems plagued by some issue, having succumbed to alcohol and being disgruntled with life. Despite appearing as a regular drunkard, he has a story and we can approach him to have a very interesting dialogue. The man reveals himself to be Jeremiah Compson, and for some unknown reason, he lost his job and his life collapsed. In every way, including financially, his house, which had been in the family for 2 generations, was seized by the Rhodes Bank with all his belongings inside. Furthermore, he was also banned from approaching it, preventing him from recovering some family personal items left behind. But Jeremiah's worst loss doesn't seem to have been his property or these items, but rather his job.
They took everything from me.
Who did?
They.
And what did they take?
My whole life. A whole way of living, a career.
I stole a lot of things, but that's quite a lot to steal.
He speaks very proudly about himself, saying that he was a respectable man and well liked by all of society.
My old house. The house my grandfather built. It's all dilapidated and destroyed. Repossessed by the bank.
I'm sorry to hear that.
I was supposed to live a different life.
Me too.
If only I could get my old things back. Personal mementos, a watch, old pistol, my ledger.
During the dialogue, he asks us to retrieve his personal items, and even though Arthur has no reason to comply with this request, he accepts and says he will pick them up if he passes by the property. The cool thing about this cutscene is that you can clearly see that Arthur felt sorry for the man who seems to have lost everything and is now homeless. What proves this is the pat on the shoulder he gives Jeremiah. Our tough guy has a soft heart. Touched by the man's drama, Arthur decides to swing by his old house in Scarlet Meadows, the Compsons' farm, a vast property with plenty of space for the animals to graze. It consists of a grand 2-story house, a small water well to hydrate the residents, an old outhouse for sending out some packages, and lastly, a small barn. This one that is completely burned down. Some may not remember, but this barn was set on fire during the mission, an honest mistake, when Uncle puts us in a tight spot and makes us steal a carriage from Cornwall. Carriage that was well protected, forcing Arthur, Bill, Charles, and Uncle to pull it to the property and hide from the guards. Then during the shootout, a lantern falls to the ground, causing a fire that spreads quickly and forces the gang to enter the woods. The property is one of the most beautiful in the whole game, surrounded by nature, sparking that fantasy thought of how amazing it would be to live in a place like this. Unfortunately, the property is far from its best days, with the house having its structure all varied and the windows boarded up, with lots of dirt scattered all over the porch. The field is also filled with dirt, with some dismantled and broken carriages finding a home next to the barn. This poor condition is due to the owner's absence, as the property was seized by the Rhodes Bank. This is evidenced by the doors of the house, where we can find an order from Judge Meredith of the Lemoyne State Court, providing more details about the confiscation of the residence.
By order of Judge Meredith Holden in the courts of the state of Lemoyne, we do hereby grant repossession of this property and all items herein to the Bank of Rhodes. M. Holden, Judge Holden, Henrietta Blackley, Clerk, November 18th, 1895.
As we just heard, the house was seized on November 18, 1895, and considering the year the story takes place, 1899, Jeremiah has been in Rhodes Bank for at least 4 years. The man lost everything and can't even afford rent. Having earned a lot of money, he surely never cared about saving on his purchases. If he were living in 2025, Jeremiah would definitely spend as if there were no tomorrow buying the latest games on PlayStation and Xbox Store. But getting back to the subject, the scene of chaos and disorder persists inside the property, with drinks scattered throughout the rooms, broken furniture, and a lot of dirt everywhere. Among this chaos, we can find several personal items from the Compson family. The first of them is this photograph, with Jeremiah and his wife and son, Betsy and Rance. The photograph, which is actually a daguerreotype, was gifted by Colonel Joshua Nixon, owner of a farm called Ascension. The item was given to him as a thank you for his work, as Jeremiah recovered some property from this Joshua character. This already gives us some clues about Jeremiah's work. Could he be some kind of private security recovering stolen property from the farmers in Rhodes? Well, I don't know, but one thing is for sure, Jeremiah wasn't lying when he said he was respected by the community. Right next to it, we can find a drawing with Jeremiah next to a dog that was probably his work companion. It was made by a young student named Josh, who drew Jeremiah during a visit the man made to a local school. The boy admired Jeremiah's work and wished to perform the same role when he grew up. Moving on to the next room, we can find one of the items requested by the man, his watch, which is stored in the fireplace. Next to it, we can find a letter under a chair written by Colonel Joshua Nixon, the same man who gifted Jeremiah with the picture of his family. This letter was sent 15 years after the photograph, marking the worst moment of Jeremiah's life.
April 2nd, 1870. Dear Mr. Compson, I'm afraid there's no more work for you down here at the plantation. I'm grateful for the help you've given us, and the help your pappy and your pappy's pappy gave us before you. These are trying times for all of us. You are in our thoughts and prayers. Yours truly, Colonel J. Nixon, the Ascension Plantation.
In the letter, the boss says there is no more work for him on the farm, thanking him for the long-standing work provided by his family over 3 generations. The reason for the dismissal would be the difficult time the farm is going through, with financial difficulties to pay its employees. This was the beginning of the end for Jeremiah, with his personal and financial life collapsing since then. The man was very well paid on the farm, so he took a big hit with the dismissal. This forced him to look for alternatives to generate income, including selling some personal items. Another note in the living room reveals this, being written by a guy named Bill.
Dear Jeremiah, there ain't nothing here of any value. I wouldn't give you a nickel for it. Come by for a sup of whiskey anytime. Bill.
In it, Bill reports that there is nothing of value in the belongings left by Jeremiah for evaluation. Therefore, the man couldn't pay him anything. I presume that Bill is a trader looking to make some money, so Jeremiah took some items for pawn. But as we saw, he couldn't even get $1. To make matters worse, Bill also makes a shocking revelation about Jeremiah's wife, Betsy.
Yes, I was sorry to hear of Betsy's passing. Things is easier up there for sure.
As we can hear, Jeremiah's wife has passed away. This was certainly a blow to the man, as not only did he lose his precious job, but he also lost his beloved wife. But even with all this misfortune, life must go on. This led Jeremiah to look for a job, and eventually he got one at Central Union Railroad, the company responsible for operating all the trains in the region, also having a work camp in Rocknock Ridge. Unfortunately, this job did not solve Jeremiah's problems, as the letter reveals that he had issues and needed to take leave.
Dear Mr. Compson, after numerous complaints from customers and fellow employees alike, we must terminate your employment. There's just no place for a man like you at the Central Union Railroad Company.
As we can hear, Jeremiah was fired from his job because of his personality, with several clients and co-workers complaining about his behavior. This forced the company to let him go, once again leaving him unemployed and without a source of income. The reason for his dismissal is obvious. Jeremiah spent his life accustomed to having a job with high social status, with everyone admiring him like elementary school children and even a powerful colonel. So going from that to just a mere employee overnight certainly shook the man up a lot. He is angry about the situation, so he surely should have been grumpy at work. His dependence on alcohol also probably didn't help much. As we see in Rhodes, Jeremiah completely gave into the bottle. The death of his beloved wife and the loss of his property certainly had a strong influence on this. The man became homeless and lives discontent with life, in tears screaming to the world how unfair life has been to him by taking away everything he loved. This drove people away from him and made him a despicable being, as not even his colleagues at the railroad could stand him. Proof of this is another letter that we can find in the room, this time written by his son Rance. In it, he makes a strong statement, writing one of the worst things a grandfather could read or hear.
Pa, God damn it. Told you to stay away from the boy. He don't want this. Heck, none of us want nothing to do with you. Rance.
As we can hear, Rons tells Jeremiah to stay away from him and his son, making it clear that even the little family he has left rejects him. This letter certainly increased Arthur's sorrow for the man, so after reading all these letters, we have to pursue the goal of recovering his belongings. The clock was above the fireplace, but the gun and the diary are still missing. A clue can be found above the fireplace in the second living room, and a picture of Jeremiah in the room a few years ago with a trap door open, so there's a clue on where to find the remaining items. But before we could open the door, Arthur is surprised by something unexpected.
What you doing here? We found this place first.
Yeah. Easy. I'm just looking around for some things. That old revolver yours?
Finders keepers. God, son of a bitch!
Oh, God damn it! Come on, Dan!
Where are you going? Come on!
As we can see, the house was being inhabited by some intruders who took over the place and Jeremiah's beloved revolver. Here is a space for a curiosity. Do you guys remember Uncle's mission where we visit this house? So when we are hiding in the barn, some Cornwall guards knock on the door of the residence, interrogating the resident about any noise or such. This man was not Jeremiah, but one of the intruders, since at that time he was away from the house. We don't see this scene in detail as we are in the barn at the moment, but I took the liberty of recording this scene up close with mods, so check it out.
Is this your place? Kinda. And you didn't hear nothing? Why don't you just tell me, partner, what you heard? Go ahead. Tell me what you heard. I don't... Maybe I heard some noises out by the barn a while ago. Ain't me. Better not be. All right. Coop forth. Lo, go check out the barn. Sir.
As we can see, the security guard questioned the intruder, but surprisingly the intruder in the scene is not one of those who appear in the mission, so there is a Rockstar flaw. They clearly didn't pay much attention to the scene, so much so that the open door in the scene is not even the same one we used during the mission. The guy walks through the wooden planks, a complete mess. After all, why make the scene look pretty if the player won't even see it properly, right? This also applies to the second floor of the house. We don't have access to it because of the broken staircase, but by using the free camera mod to go up, we will find out that there isn't even a developed interior, so these details are left there for curiosity's sake. Going back to the mission, after dealing with the intruders, we will finally be able to enter the basement. Ladies and gentlemen, get ready, as this is definitely one of the most remarkable moments in the entire game, so if you're enjoying this video, go ahead and drop your like. Is there something wrong with this basement? Something mysterious, out of the ordinary? Why the hell are there these chains? Who was being held in this place? Why are there these various suspended beds? Who was sleeping in this dark, frightening, and inhospitable place? The answers can be found at the end of the basement when we finally get hold of Jeremiah's diary, which he asked Arthur for. Opening the diary, we will uncover the twisted truth behind Jeremiah Compson's story.
This your ledger? A list of slaves?
Rewards. January 15th, Betsy, $17. January 18th, Louise, $12. May 18th, Wilfred, $18. May 24th, Minnie and Child, $20.
As we can hear, the diary was actually a list of slaves containing several individuals that Compson recovered, receiving around $10 to $20 per head. Adding up all the values in the diary, we will reach a whopping $227, a real fortune for the time, as converting it to today's days will be about $3,700. We finally discovered Jeremiah's true job. He was a slave hunter at Ascension Farm. Now, all the letters we read on the first floor finally make sense. The goods Jeremiah recovered for his boss were slaves, which at the time were very valuable assets for farmers. His dismissal from the railroad also makes more sense, as Jeremiah would certainly be outraged if he had to serve or work with black people. Society is still very racist today, so imagine in 1899, but this may also have been one of the reasons why his son Joshua made sure to keep his son away from his grandfather. In 1899, everyone knew that slavery was reprehensible, but Jeremiah still spoke proudly of his job. Bravo, for they took away from him everything he loved the most. This happened in 1865 with the ratification of the 13th Amendment of the United States, prohibiting slavery and forced labor throughout the national territory. Still in the basement, next to the diary location, we can find a piece of furniture where Jeremiah stored his working tools. Among them, we can see a whip used to attack the slaves. We can also see at least 3 collars that were used to strangle the slaves and lead them through a rope. Despite these items being terrible and nefarious, they are not the worst thing in this room, as on the same shelf we can find a diary, but this time not from Jeremiah, but from a slave who was imprisoned in the basement.
Well, that's that. I was somewhere near Rhodes when they caught me. Till the day I die, I ain't gonna forget the sound of that dog barking at my heels. But I don't suppose that day gonna be far off yet. It was 50 lashings yesterday and 50 more to come. I don't think I can take any more. Man said he was doing his job. Funny kind of employment if you ask me, but I suppose you ain't. Light's fading, so that's it for now. I do hope I live to see the end of this war and justice win out. Ugh. June 6th.
As we can hear, the diary is a heavy portrait of what black people had to endure for many decades. 50 lashes yesterday and another 50 lashes today. It was this kind of atrocity that was committed by the slave owners under the hypocritical claim that they were just doing their job. At the end of the letter, the slave reports that he will have to stop writing as the daylight was fading. He longs for the war to end with justice prevailing and the slaves set free. He was referring to the American Civil War, fought between 1861 and 1865, mainly motivated by deep divisions over slavery. It was contested between the Union states located in the North and led by President Abraham Lincoln, who advocated for the abolition of slavery and the preservation of the territorial integrity of the United States, and the Confederate States of America formed by southern states that had seceded from the Union, defending the right to maintain slavery as a central part of their economy and way of life. Fortunately, the North emerged victorious in the war, culminating in the ratification of the 13th Amendment. So fortunately, the slaves' longing was realized a year after being written in the diary, with slavery being prohibited nationwide in 1865. Now we have reached the central point of this video. Arthur Morgan was deceived by Jeremiah Compson, who concealed the true nature of his occupation and the reason for his downfall at work, causing Arthur to go to his old property and recover his belongings. Arthur would never do a favor for a man of this kind. Had he known the whole truth behind his story, this leaves Arthur furious, as he was once again manipulated, but this time not by Dutch, but by Jeremiah Compson, a slave hunter. Now it's time to visit the man and demand an explanation. So with the 3 items in Arthur's possession, we can walk out of the trapdoor saying goodbye to a condemned property, built on the blood and sweat of a people enslaved and marginalized for decades. But before that, do you guys remember the old well on the property? I mentioned it at the beginning of the video, and before leaving the farm, it's worth taking a look inside. The well has been dry for years, so we can go down and see what's in there. Despite the darkness, we may find some coins and some mysterious inscriptions marked on the wall. By using the photo mode and lighting up the area, we will finally be able to see these inscriptions more clearly. They are small scratches on the wall, similar to those made by prisoners in their cells, kind of counting down the time left in their sentence. In this case, the prisoner was one of the slaves captured by Jeremiah. When captured, it was common for slaves to be punished in some way, sort of as a way to set an example for others and discourage them from escaping, and that's exactly what Jeremiah did with his dry well, turning it into a sort of solitary confinement. Given the amount of scratches, it can be assumed that the prisoner spent a good amount of time there before being set free. There's a good piece of trivia that many people who don't explore the well might overlook. With the requested items in hand, we can finally leave the property and visit Eris Field, a remote forest in Scarlet Meadows that is serving as Jeremiah's home. He is camping in the area, patiently waiting for Arthur with his bottle by his side. As we approach, we will witness one of the best scenes in the entire game, with Arthur confronting the man about his sins.
Oh man!
Oh, man! You show some respect. I was respected once. I had a profession.
You asked me to get you something.
There's no bringing back what I want. I want my job, pride, the respect accorded to a gentleman.
What about this old crap? Huh?
Thanks. Don't you understand? Those bastards, they changed everything. I was a good worker. I took pride in my work. They took it away. Pissed on my legacy.
Old man, some jobs ain't for saving. Some legacies,
Oh,
they are for pissing
what
on.
are you doing? That's my history. Ah! Damn you! Damn you! I still exist. Oh.
But tell me, did you spare Jeremiah's life and sentenced him to live a life of misery with his current situation, or did you speed up the process and sent him straight to death? Comment below what was your decision regarding Jeremiah's life. I am part of the group that killed Jeremiah, not so much for what he did in the past, because whether we like it or not, it was normal back then, but rather because time has passed and he still refuses to see that what he did was wrong. Actions that ended the lives of several people and his own, even leading to the alienation of his son and grandson. To me, this is the best side mission in the entire game because of the mix of emotions it evokes. We start feeling sorry for the man who lost everything, but then a huge plot twist happens and the feeling shifts to a tremendous anger, making us capable of even taking the man's life. It's for these reasons and more that I love this game. Thank you, Rockstar. This mission portrays well how the Rhodes, Braithwaite, and Gray families built their empire during the slave era. Both families made a fortune with their plantations and businesses, taking advantage of this cheap and effective workforce. That was today's video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. You may have been terrified in the locations of this mission, but as bizarre as Jeremiah's house is, there is the Stranger Man's cabin full of oddities and mysteries. Here on the channel, there is a video where I explain all the mysteries behind this location and the variations within it. Click on the yellow arrow next to it to be directed to that video. So big hug and see you in the next video. Bye!